Kidman J. Williams here with gonzotoday.com, and I am here with Roots of Creations, Brett Wilson. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm hanging in there, man. I'm doing well. You know, it's nice and sunny down here in Florida, nice and warm. How's it up in New Hampshire?
It's not snowy right now, but it's a little bit chill. And we had some sun today, which was nice.
For a change?
Yeah.
For a change? Yeah.
The spring is coming.
At least you got some sun, because Lord knows your pets need a little sunny days. Did I do that? Oh, yeah, I did.
You know, one time we played at Gillette Stadium.
Not this year.
They brought us out to the field and everything. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. That's cool. So now we'll get right into this. You know, you guys are from New Hampshire, and you guys are doing a kind of a, you know, you're doing your reggae. Where did reggae come from in the New England area?
So basically, you know, back in the day, my mom took me to a reggae festival in Vermont. They had like an annual one that brought people from all over the country, all over Jamaica, all over the world would come perform there. And I went there when I was really young, probably around 12 or so. Mm-hmm. We separated out of there and found some brownies and brought them home and had a good time. But basically, you know, at that point, I was also into ska and reggae and rock music from the West Coast, kind of like Operation Ivy, Rancid, Sublime, stuff like that. And that style kind of mixed with the Northeast jam band style that was kind of coming out with festivals and stuff. I was like, man, that would be a cool fusion to do with a band. Which is kind of how I got the idea for our band, was like, how do I fuse this kind of Northeast jam scene that's happening with this West Coast kind of ska, punk, reggae, rock vibe that I'm hearing? Because I was also into skateboarding and stuff. So really through those avenues, and then also my stepbrother was into like hip hop and you know, metal and stuff. So he would sneak me these explicit lyrics tapes, and when I was young, and I'd have the cassette tapes, and there was some like dance hall influence from that, you know.
Sure.
KRS-One and, you know, different stuff
KRS-One.
that was kind of hip hop and reggae influence, you know. So there's just all these things coming at me, you know. I really identified with reggae just because kind of like was the oddball kid in school in the woods in New Hampshire. My mom's like into like yoga and meditation. So like the first city I ever saw was like Bombay, India. And so, you know, she's follows a guru, is into all that kind of stuff. So when I heard like the message of like one love, one people, it kind of brought me back to, you know, what I was taught growing up, but was kind of rebelling against with the skateboard and smoking weed. And I was like, oh, these people like to smoke weed and like good music, but they're kind of about what I was brought up about. So this is cool. You know what I mean?
Sure. So how old are you?
I'm 38.
You're 38. Okay.
Actually, I just turned 39 the other day. I'm no longer.
Oh, you lied to me. You lied to me, Brett.
March 18th. I just turned 39.
Okay, cool. So we're in about the same age range. So
yep.
you know, you were coming up around the same time. I totally understand that with Sublime, and especially when you were rattling off Rancid and stuff like that. You know, that's cool. So I know you come from a musical family, right?
Yep.
Now, are your parents musicians?
My mom played a bunch of piano, and my dad wrote his first song at actually age 67. With my band backed him up. He was more into like writing poetry, but he was like a real music head. When I'd see him on the weekends, he'd take me for cruises and show me like Led Zeppelin and Peter Tosh and like all this stuff, and we'd drive around and just kind of hit the arcade or whatever. But he'd be like, hey, listen to this, Brett, listen to this. Like, he was always trying to turn me on to different kind of sounds growing up, you know.
Sure.
So not so much like them jamming, but them always showing me things.
Right. And what was your mom into? Basically the same type of music, or?
She was into like I was saying, because she's into yoga and meditation. She was doing like a lot of like Hindu music or like chanting, yoga music, meditation music, but also she's really into gospel and the blues. So she would show me a lot of like blues music, Earth, Wind and Fire, Stevie Wonder. She's really into like soulful stuff,
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Well, that makes sense, especially with the sound of
Yeah,
from the sounds that I've heard from your music. Now,
for
I
sure.
know every musician, everybody, or not even musicians, but everybody has that one band. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know for me, what kicked off my taste in music was the first time I heard Motorhead. You know,
Okay.
it was
Yep.
like bing, and I didn't go the metal route. I went the punk route. But
Yep.
what band was that for you that really kind of set everything on fire for you?
I think there's multiple ones at multiple times.
Yeah.
For playing guitar, Black Sabbath really was one of the bands where I sat down and I tried to learn everything that was happening with the guitar,
Sure.
just because like I really liked the riffs and they seemed kind of obtainable in my mind, and
Yeah.
the teenage like rebellion kind of, I just was vibing with that. And then I'd say like it's hard to pinpoint one band. I'd say there was that phase, and then there was the punk phase, which was really initiated by Operation Ivy,
Right.
and the ska mixed with the punk, and like just anything that was kind of like anti-authoritarian like that. Which then, when Rage Against the Machine came out, that they were like it for me, because they had the Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin riffs with the hip hop
Yeah.
and reggae kind of lyrics, and just like fuck the system, like we're taking over, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
pure rebellion in sound, and then crazy guitar licks.
Yeah.
So those are kind of like my huge influences. But then when I heard like the Grateful Dead and Fish, and like my friend's older sister would take us cruising around, and he's like, if you want to be cool in high school and junior high, you're gonna have to listen to these bands. And I started listening to them, and then I learned like, okay, this is how I improvise on the guitar and stuff like that. So it's hard to like pick like, okay, this is what did it for me for music. Because I've gone through so many different like waves. Because when I went into punk, I went like hard, like 7 inches, skateboarding, like just like it's kind of like
You were living life. Like you
I was
weren't
living a
just
life.
like, I dig this. No, you were like
No,
deep,
yeah,
6 feet in.
yeah, spray paint cans, like just we were
Yeah. Trying to tag and do all your stuff. Yeah.
yeah, reading the anarchist cookbook, like going,
Oh,
you know,
oh, you just aged us both.
yeah.
Right there.
Then when I got into the psychedelic stuff, then I'm like reading, Ken Kesey, I'm reading, Abby Hoffman, I'm reading, all that stuff, which, brings us to where we are now, reading Hunter S. Thompson, and also before I was a musician, I was an artist. So Ralph Steadman was like, oh, this is so sick. Like nobody draws like him. Like you see his art and you know who it is. 1 second,
Absolutely. No, yeah, absolutely. Like we got hooked up. I told you,
Yeah.
Ralph Steadman did our logo for us and stuff. We had a great artist, Joey Feldman, who is friends with him, and he does have a very similar style, and it's very cool stuff. But I digress.
Yeah.
let's get back to you, and what you guys are doing. So, you're in now. Did Roots of Creation? You guys got together in high school, then?
That's when I came up with the name and the concept of the band, and then about 2002, we kind of regrouped, and people from college joined in that I had met. We started playing parties and started playing some venues that sold out instantaneously because the people from the parties went to the venues. And then I was like, actually, maybe I don't want to be a visual artist. There's chicks dancing on tables and we're selling this shit out, and to feel the vibe of people rather than them staring at a painting being like, that's so cool. Where did you get the inspiration? Where they're like raging and stuff. I was like, this is a lot more kind of exciting. I think I'm going to go
rock and roll.
Exactly. In this direction. So so to satisfy my dad, I got a degree in arts management, which was like basically like business with a focus in music. Did a an art minor or whatever, just because my mom was a potter. She was an artist, so she was stoked that I was into art. So went that route. But like once we graduated, we all moved into a house together around 2005, 2006. Bought a shitty van and just hit the road for 150 dates a year forever, basically.
I know that house. I feel like I've been in that house.
Yes.
Beer cans lining the windowsills, everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was interning at a studio, making coffee, cleaning the toilets, whatever I needed to do to get free studio time. And the studio manager at that point like hired me to help with marketing, and she was like, "You're really good at this." She's like, "If you guys really want to make it," she's like, "you guys got to all move into a house together and just pay for the expenses with what you're doing, and like go in full force." Because that's what the Grateful Dead and all the big bands like Aerosmith, because she was friends with Steven Tyler and Boston and stuff, and she's like, "That's what you need to do." And I was like, "Okay." So then I basically took her advice. I was like, "Okay, this is what we're doing." And they're like, "Okay."
You throw the dice and roll for broke. That's pretty much it. That's what they all did. I mean, you see it all the time. I think you
just wrote a song right there.
Nice. I'm gonna get a credit on the new Roots of Creation.
I like that. You roll the dice and roll for broke.
Yeah. Roll the dice and go for broke. That's
a hook right there.
That is a hook. That is a nice hook, ain't it? That might just be the tag of this interview.
I like it.
I
think it should be. That's a great tag.
Yes, absolutely. So
that's
now,
clickbait right there.
Right? So now you guys are in this house, right? Yeah. I'm sure you guys had some wild parties. I'm sure.
For sure.
Absolutely. Now, at that point, how, and I think this is important especially for aspiring musicians to hear, like, I want to hear the work ethic. Like how much time were you really putting into crafting the songs and coming up with where you guys just gelled that well?
I mean, I think at that point in time, like the other guys had like day jobs, and like I was on a laptop spending the time like booking shit and like taking like a little bit of a stipend from doing that so that I could keep us going. And then eventually I interned at a booking agency, and he was like, "I don't know, your music's okay, but you guys seem to really want to do this. So like, maybe I will take on booking you guys." Cause we were starting to like get these college bookings that were like, he was like, "Whoa, how are you getting this? How are you getting that?" So we kind of started buzzing around the college scene. So it was like, almost like a daytime, like hit the phones, hit the computer, when everybody's out of work, go downstairs to the rehearsal, and like record demos, write stuff. I'd be writing during the day too, hustling whatever side jobs I could do. I'd do like little stuff to get by, like substitute teaching or.
Give us the worst one. What was the worst job?
The worst job. I think the worst job was probably summertime cleaning college dorms out after everybody left. I ended up with some cool, like random shit that was like, vinyl records or whatever people threw out. But it was like me and like one other dude and a ton of like just crotchety old ladies. Like, so I felt really out of place.
You had to do the toilets too, everything.
Oh, yep.
Oh, that had to be raunchy.
When I moved to landscaping at the college, that was much better.
That's something. Landscaping is not an easy job.
Weed whacking at a college is pretty simple, though.
Yeah, true.
It's just it's a vast landscape, and you're just like, zzz, nobody's bothering you.
Right.
You just get high and you weed whack.
I was gonna say you're sitting there, a little bit of that, just going. Yep. Maybe some head and ear. Did they have earbuds back then? Probably not. Not back then. It was like headphones,
no,
lunky things.
Yeah. I
like,
don't think.
Princess Leia running around with a weed whacker.
Yeah. I
It's
always
awesome.
thought she was. I always thought she was hot growing up for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, some reason, right? That's it. Can't imagine why. There you go. There it is.
Nice.
Yeah, of course I got, and then I got my little thing up there, my little painting. But yeah. Oh yeah, it was all about Princess Leia. We always knew that.
Right.
You know, shame she
What
died.
about the scene where she's with like Jabba the Hutt? She's got the chain around her neck, and you're
This-
like uncomfortably like turned on.
I think that twisted a whole generation, is what it did.
I think it did.
It really did, men and women both. It really. Well, that's why our whole generation's a little messed up.
You can trace anybody who has like our age group that is into like S&M or something back to Star Wars.
That might be the tag. It's awesome.
I just got all my old toys actually in a bin that I'm going to give to my two daughters. And I have a Jabba the Hutt. I wish I had a Luke, or I used to have a Darth Vader, but I got those. I got Nightmare Before Christmas, all this old stuff from growing up.
That's cool. That's cool. Nightmare Before. I love that movie. It's a great movie. My kids love that movie. It's a good one.
Tim Burton.
Yeah,
I feel like I feel like he comes from the school of Stedman and all these kind of quirky, like interesting artists that are iconic, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Well, you got to figure. I mean, Tim Burton. I mean, every movie he makes is for Johnny Depp, and Johnny Depp was good friends with Hunter and Stedman and all of them. You know, so it would make sense.
His Batman is like one of my favorite movies of all time because the Joker is so fucking Jack Nicholson. Like,
oh yeah. Nobody nailed Batman like Keaton. Nobody did.
No,
I don't think spot on. The Batman was great. You know.
Did you like the new Joker movie? Did you see that?
Didn't sound like he had a cold the whole time.
Yeah. Did you like that one?
With Joaquin?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. In fact, I was rooting for that before Heath Ledger even got put in. I wanted Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker then. But oh yeah. Joaquin's a great actor. And that was
a psychological ride for me when I watched that. It was pretty intense.
I don't think, and you know, it caught a lot of flack because I don't think people were expecting what they got from that thing. You know.
Well, see, I used to read the comic books, which were so much darker than people I think really thought they were.
Right.
They think like, oh, Batman, like the old TV show. But when I was reading them in the 90s and stuff, you know, in the late 80s, they were dark, you know, much like the Tim Burton version.
Well, they were. All of them were. Batman was supposed to be dark. I mean, he was an orphan kid. Just the origin story is dark. His parents were killed.
Right.
Know? So he was orphaned, living in a big mansion with them, and you know, he becomes a Batman because he's all twisted in the head. And
I liked how he didn't have any actual superpowers. He had to like create.
Oh, he had a superpower. Yeah, a little bit of this.
Money, that's right.
Money gets you pretty far.
I guess that's true. I didn't think about that.
It's a big superpower.
So he has the millionaire or billionaire superpower.
That's it. Kind of like Tony Stark. He had that money. He had that money and the ingenuity, like Batman did. He had the ingenuity as well to come up and develop. But I think Bruce Wayne, he developed through his company, not so much him. Right. Tony just sat in his garage tinkering.
Every time I like take a cruise in a car with trees around me and it's dark, I always think about, you know, those scenes when the Batmobile is going through the woods into the Batcave.
I love that you're just a dork at heart. I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
It's perfect, man. Excellent. So now, why don't we'll talk about the new albums coming up. Well, the one that's out already, which is Roots of Creation. the Grateful Dub.
Yep.
Now, how did that whole thing come about for you guys? Because you've got some pretty big, heavy hit players on that album with you guys.
Yeah, it was quite a journey to come to there. You know, one of the first shows we ever played, we did some Dead covers in a reggae rock style. And, you know, when I learned to play lead guitar, I, you know, was dissecting, you know, live Dead bootlegs and trying to figure out how does Jerry improvise with the band, because it sounded like everybody was almost jamming at the same time. And it was like almost like a punk anarchy aesthetic, like in like a jazz version of like an anarchy of jazz, or like a rock, you know, just everybody's soloing and it's chaos, but then it would crash sometimes, or sometimes it would reach some sort of pinnacle that would be like crazy, and everybody like a locomotive train. There's a lot different than like Allman Brothers or Fish jamming, which a lot of times was based upon like orgasmic peaks of just like hitting these orgasmic peaks, which I really like, but theirs was more of like this nuanced like chaos. And then reading about, you know, Jerry and him being into like Sun Ra and Miles Davis, and like I started to understand like what they were kind of going for. And so I started to try to figure that out. And
did you tape your finger down while you did it? No, that's
doing the Jerry Shocker.
Right, the Jerry Shocker.
Not unlike the Spocker.
Right.
But yeah, so like I just kind of delved into the Dead my whole life, you know. And one time when I was getting into reggae, I stumbled upon a reggae tribute to the Grateful Dead, and I was like, man, this is an awesome concept, but it just didn't seem like the artists had really listened to the Dead, and it was like somebody's brainchild that was like a cool idea, but it was like cheesy keyboards, and I didn't vibe with it. And I was like, man, someday I'd love to make something like that. And fast forward, we started playing all these jam band festivals and playing for this promoter who puts on this festival, Jerry Jam, that started as like just showing movies of the Grateful Dead after Jerry died, to blossoming into an underground festival, to selling 5,000 tickets. And, you know, so we started playing with Jerry Garcia's keyboard player, Melvin Seals, and you know, just kind of being a part of the scene. And one Halloween, every Halloween we do like a musical costume, like, you know, kind of how Fish does. And we've done different bands or mashups and stuff. We've done Rage Against the Machine. We've, you know, done all sorts of stuff. And since it was put on by the promoter from Jerry Jam, we did a Grateful Dub set, which the word kind of comes from one of my good friends and mentors and the co-producer of the project, John Phillips from Silverback Music, who manages Slightly Stupid, and who actually discovered Sublime. Me and him started jamming in Costa Rica and Mexico, and he came up with this, you know, word one time when he was describing a band. It's like, they sound like the Grateful Dub, and I was like, man, that's a fucking great name for a project or an album. So I hit him up and I was like, yo, you know, I finally, you know, have this, what your word, and we're going to turn it into something. And so we started to take this kind of approach that we were doing live, and we were like, yeah, let's make a record. And we didn't really, you know, have the loot to make it happen. And I didn't know what to do. And like, finally the band members were like, if we don't do this, like somebody else is going to like do it. Like we should do it first. Like, you know, cause you know, Easy Star All Stars had their, you know, Dub Side of the Moon.
Right. And it's kind of a no-brainer. So it's kind of like quick before somebody actually gets in on this. Yeah.
So let's do this. So I took a bank loan out, and like we got introduced to Bob Marley's producer and engineer, who was then working with Revolution, Errol Brown. It's like a 70-year-old like recording mastermind. And we got introduced to him from Big Reggae Mix Radio. And so we were like, fuck it, let's go do this. And then we did a crowdfunding campaign for that too. So that combined with the bank loan, we were able to like pull it all off. And then just organically, as it started going, like, you know, Errol had a relationship with Steven, John had a relationship with Steven, I had a relationship with other people, you know, and people started to get excited about the project and how cool it sounded. And just this started to have the snowball effect, and everybody wanted to be involved because they thought it was a cool idea, and they really liked, the tracks. They liked, us as people. They liked everybody involved. And, Errol is iconic, and he just crushed it. And I don't know, we had a lot of fun with it. And I don't know, it just kind of took on a life of its own.
That's good. Now, how was it for people to know? I mean, how was it working with Stephen Marley?
He was amazing, very busy, obviously. It took him a while to be able to actually sit down and do it, but he was really stoked on the track. And he went above and beyond. We just wanted him to do one verse. Like, in my mind is like, okay, Marlon Asher did a verse, the Ganja Farmer, he crushed it. I'm going to do a verse. I'll do my guitar solo, and then Steven will do a verse. It'll be great. And Marlon had done some dance hall, fire spinning at the end while the band's all jamming in it, which was sick. It was kind of like, instead of Donna Jean, you have, screaming, you have this like, Rasta dude, he's fucking chanting down Babylon and doing all sorts of crazy shit at the end. It was like dope. And like, I think, I wasn't there when Steven recorded it in Florida, but like, in my mind, I'm thinking I hear Steven hear what the Ganja Farmer did, and I was like, man, I got to get on this shit. And like, he spit down at the end too, so it turned into this like, massive jam session at the end where the band's going off and like two guys are spitting dance hall, which I was so stoked, because I was just expecting to get back just a simple verse,
Right.
And he added his own flair to the end, which was like fucking awesome.
That's definitely what you want, for sure. Now,
and he was like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, please, you got more. Tell me, gimme.
He just did it for the love of it. He was just like, just please return the favor and come play, my festival, Kaya Festival, which is an amazing festival that he's throwing in Florida and on the West Coast. And we performed there, and it was awesome. It was like everybody that he's ever worked with, Lauryn Hill, all the brothers performing on stage at once, like just so, like, basically every band he's ever produced or artist that he's done a song with, he invited out there, and it was such a great production. And being able to chill with him and his extended family, and just to be welcomed in there, and drink some fish tea with them, and just just kind of reason with them, and talk about life and family and music, and it was an amazing experience, really. And truly.
We could safe to say that's probably one of your favorite celebrities that you've been privileged to meet, then, I'd assume.
For sure. And so humble and family orientated, and so driven in terms of musical direction.
Excellent. Awesome. Now you got another new thing coming, and I you guys talk about a work ethic. You guys got some work ethic yourself here. So you got the Grateful Dub, and now
I know I can't keep up with us.
Right. And we have you have a new album coming in spring, and that's the Dub Free or Die is
correct.
That one. And you also launched a Kickstarter for that as well.
We did.
Right?
Yeah, I was like, after we did 2 crowdfunding campaigns for our last 2 albums, I was like, I think we can do this one on our own. We started to like tour more, and like, I finally didn't have to have like a side hustle or anything. And like, it was like, I'm either playing at a bar or I'm on the road with the band and we're selling merchandise. And I was like, yes, I can pay my mortgage, and like, we're doing good, and like, and everything. And then it's like, and the pandemic hit.
right.
And you're a single dad, and it just felt like one of those behind the music stories where it's like everything was great, and then
So now you divorced then?
I am at this point, like 2 years later, which is fine, and like, which is honestly a better situation, and I'm really enjoying the extra time with my children right now. With the one thing the pandemic showed me was that I was happy to be here for the remote learning with my 8-year-old. Like, I did that every day. So, it was also a blessing in disguise, because it allowed us to really hone in on the studio. Because when you're on the road, it's like everybody's like, put out a new album. Where's the new music? And it's like, I want to put it out, but like, what we're thinking about is like, how do we get to the next show? How do we sell more tickets?
Right.
How do we, make more fans? We're still creating, but you're on this hamster wheel, just trying to survive.
Oh yeah. A lot of people don't understand that when it comes to music. People, they think you're out there, you're on the stage, you're the star, you're making millions of dollars. But they don't, I mean, a lot of like even a gold, I mean, at a gold record, you're talking what, 500,000 units for a gold record?
Correct. Yep.
You just broke even. People don't understand that.
Right.
In most cases.
The margins are low, and the expenses are high. So many people traveling, but you do it because you love it, and it's okay to get 4 hours of sleep, and be on interviews all day or communicating with fans, and then hit the stage and then be at the merch table because you're doing it because you believe in the music, and you believe in a higher purpose and the sense of community, and all of it, and the adrenaline, but it's tough to create in that environment.
Yeah, exactly. It is. And
you're working on these little things in sound check, and making up stuff, but it's like, it's just, you're like, the only thing I can do to describe it is like what I said before, like a hamster wheel. You only see what's in front. You only see what's in front of you. And when you get off, you're like, okay, now let's be creative.
Right. It's time. Let's do it. Yeah.
Isn't this what we started doing this for in the first place?
Forget though. And it's sometimes you do. And right now, you brought up COVID, and I'm glad you did, because a lot of bands are going through a lot of struggles. And how has COVID affected you guys?
Man, like I was saying, like I was finally able to survive, those 2 years prior to COVID with no real side hustles. So that was like pretty intense. The first day everything got canceled, I was like, well, at least I have my like solo acoustic gigs, I think in like 24 hours, there was like 75 grand worth of shows lost or something like that. It was crazy. It was like the whole year was gone. Like, or half of the year. And I was like, oh, well, we'll still have like the end of the year, and like I'll have my like 75 bar gigs, so I'll be able to struggle by. It'll be okay. And then like a week later, like the bar gigs were gone, and I was like fighting for unemployment, like because they hadn't approved the entrepreneurs or like the gig workers unemployment, whatever they want to call it. So it was pretty intense, but kind of turned a negative into a positive and just like started to adapt. Okay, how do we
how are you moving forward with this?
How do we figure this out? So, we have overhead we have our own label. So we have overhead for our label and overhead for the band, like, publicist, social media person, advertising, costs of manufacturing goods, studio, whatever, any other bullshit, the businesses deal with, van insurance, van maintain, all that stuff. So I'm like, fuck, we got to at least cover the nut. We can't go bankrupt.
Right.
So like we got to make it through this. So I started doing live streaming. People were very generous, and I had a lot of fun with that. Just being acoustic, taking requests, trying to do medleys, doing giveaways. And we made a lot of new fans, and we actually made it on like the Polestar live stream charts in terms of like views. So that was really cool. And then our online merch store, we never really used it. We were always selling at shows, and people started to really, contribute to that. So that was able to like carry us through and not make us, go bankrupt. Yeah. But at the same time, we needed to still create music. So we like snuck in the studio here or there, but we haven't been able to like really like go full force or like save money to, press vinyl or CDs. So that's kind of like, we were like, fuck it. We just got to do a Kickstarter, because if we want to give the people what they want, which is new music, and I'd like to put out a new song every month and just keep it fresh. Yeah. Like we need some sort of.
You said now it is your own label, and you guys don't have your own studio. You have to go.
No. Yeah, we're very blessed to have our front of house engineer, Pete Board's Pelican, who's been here since like day one with our albums,
You hear that,
has a
Pete?
studio down the road. And so
That's
he
studio
obviously
what?
he owns it, but he's very gracious and fair with us in terms of what he provides for us for what cost, but we still need to take care of him.
Right, and we did. Little plug here and there.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt. Got you, dude. But that's awesome. Yeah. So you guys have been doing the online thing, like a lot of bands have been trying to supplement with. And
it's been fun. And new people from all over the world who I'm from Peru. Yo, I'm from this country. It's like, that's the cool part about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's how I came about you. It's same way. Well, not quite the same way. It was the Facebook. It was your little messenger, like plop, and I'm like, oh God, another one. And then I decided to click it, and I'm impressed, man. I am. The music that I've heard you guys do, all seriousness, it's wonderful.
That all came about because I took this course, during the pandemic, and it was like, since you can't be at the merch table, you should start conversations with fans just like you would be at the merch table, and then show them your music like you normally would. And I was like, well, if we can't be on the road, we might as well see if that works. And it started to work, and I was like, this is cool. This is another way to build the community while we're not traveling,
See, one thing I used to do, I used to work for a very big online marketer who taught this type of stuff and how to make online money and marketing money and doing webinars and whatnot. Dan Henry. But yeah, no, he's huge, big time.
I'll have to check him out.
Yeah, he's awesome. Take his course; it's great. It is. He knows what he's talking about. But yeah, that's awesome that you guys have figured it out, and maybe not to the grand level that you want to be hitting, but you guys, I see there are benefits to it as well.
For sure, and to be able to live stream, make people happy. I get fulfilled, maybe not with having a band jamming behind me, but get my musical, groove on downstairs, and then to come upstairs and to see my children soundly sleeping is something that, is nice.
Absolutely.
That's a cool thing.
So in being a single dad, how, when you were touring, I mean, how did you balance? I mean, you didn't take them on the road with you, right?
Summer festivals were the best times because they could come out,
Sure.
Outside and stuff. And then restaurants that allowed them to be there when I was playing solo acoustic, when it was earlier, like a 6 to 9 gig, they could come out. So we made it work that way. And just when I was home, and, that was just, I had my, behind the scenes work to do or recording and stuff, but we would just do a lot of stuff when I was home,
Awesome.
Just go to the arcade or go skateboarding. My 8-year-old likes to skateboard or draw or, do music stuff, just, playing and just having fun outside or, watching a movie together, just, try to make the best of it. But it was for sure difficult. A lot of FaceTiming, a lot of,
Good.
It's hard.
It is. I'd imagine. Now, for the future, I mean, is there any word about you guys playing, really playing live again, or are you guys still kind of?
We have a couple of there's a festival in Pittsburgh in August that we're going to do that's pretty sick with the Wailers and Jason Mraz and Rusted Root, and then there's a couple of unannounced things in Maine and New Hampshire. There's a show at Hampton Beach in New Hampshire with Bad Fish, a tribute to Sublime, that usually sells out every year, and they're pretty hopeful that they're going to be at full capacity come July. Fingers crossed, depending on how everything goes. So
So no
There's
Sublime
definitely
covers by you, right?
not that night.
Yeah, not that night.
We're not allowed to. We can play them with the band later on. We could do a super jam.
That's cool.
We did recently put out a Sublime cover for charity for Bradley from Sublime's sister has a charity called Bradley's House, and they're building a house for musicians and people who are fighting addiction to get sober and have support in California. So they put together a tribute album, and there's like maybe 36 bands on there, and we actually covered the name of our band, Roots of Creation, for the album. And we try to support them. When I do live streams, I'll do a couple of Sublime tributes a year and donate 50% of the tips to them. So, when I'm doing acoustic gigs, I will throw in Sublime in there, but we are not allowed to do it. That's a no-no.
This is one unprofessional thing I'm going to do during this interview.
Do you have
Alexa,
to take a piss?
turn off Kayla's alarm.
8 p.m. alarm stop on Kayla's echo.
We got it.
Nice.
She left her alarm on. That's nice of her.
Was it going
Gotta
beep,
love
beep,
COVID,
beep,
man.
beep?
Gotta love COVID.
Oh, man.
Everybody's from home.
Yep. I'm going to have to check in on my 3-year-old pretty soon.
Right. Right. But so great. Now
It's almost time for Mickey Mouse bedtime stories and songs and
excellent. Any Dr. Seuss?
Dr. Seuss. She loves Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss is not outlawed in this house.
So where we are, I guess, we've got the new albums. They're coming up.
Yep. Uh-huh.
You have the Kickstarter
Yep.
for the new album, Dub Free or Die.
Yep.
We have the Grateful Dub as well. The Grateful Dub is actually
available everywhere.
Yeah.
Spotify, YouTube. You can go to our website and get a vinyl or a CD or whatever you want to do. Download it and rip it off a Napster like 1990 or whatever.
So we'll have the link for you, and it's going to be right down there. Right down there. Get down there.
Get down on it.
And yes, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, man.
You too, brother.
Yes, definitely. And I hope we can do this again. And
me too.
Good luck in the future. All right.
Thank you. As one majestic bearded gentleman to another.
Yeah, I got kind of the Wolfman Jack thing going now.
I didn't have that before.
Whoop, there you are.
Sorry. I think my dad was trying to call me. I didn't have that until COVID came. And then after COVID, I got white hair in my beard.
It can put some strain on you. I know. Mine wasn't nearly this bad before. Now I look like some perversion of King Richard from a night fucking movie.
We had this medieval fair we used to go to just as part of school. They made us go to. It was King Richard's Fair, where everybody
awesome.
Pretended to be from that time period with swords and stuff. I can see you with a coat of arms on.
Oh yeah, well I got my kilt too.
And a battle axe. I
am Scottish, so I got my kilt and whatnot.
Me too.
Nice.
Everybody, my birthday is at midnight on St. Patty's Day, and because of that and my red hair, everybody's like, "You must be Irish, bro." I don't know how many times. I'm like, "No, I'm not Irish. I'm Scottish, English, and Italian. I know I look Irish, but just so you know."
Blarney Stone.
As my English teacher once told me, all red hair comes from the red hair comes from the Russians, or no, the Nordic people, the Vikings coming in, raping and pillaging the world.
That's it.
So really, I'm just a Viking.
See, and that's why I've got the dark. But it's the Spaniards that got us. Our clan was a port clan.
Okay.
So the Spanish Armada came and I'm a black Scot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Darker complexion. Although it's weird because a lot of my family is pasty. I don't get it. I look like a Greek.
Yeah, you could pass for Italian or Greek.
Yeah, it's weird. It's really weird.
We're all just mutts. We're all
Oh.
just mutts.
Absolutely. We did our DNA stuff now. So I'm waiting for that to come back in a few weeks as well. So
And everybody from New England is part Native American. Like my great grandmother was Native American from near Canada. You know, there's always like everybody's oh, my great grandmother.
My girl is. She's part Native American. Yeah, we actually I've seen pictures of her and everything. Her was the great grandma, I think it was, something like that.
Yep.
But yeah, so I mean, yeah, you're right. New Englanders. You bastards. But she calls herself a masshole. She calls herself a masshole.
Yep. They don't know how to drive. I'm a terrible driver. I'm like always thinking about music or something else.
You're drifting.
Yeah.
And drifting.
But the massholes are always cutting you off and driving slow and honking their horns, yelling at you, road rage. Does she do that?
I plead the fifth. We'll plead the fifth on all that. Yeah, that's probably safer. So, Kidman J. Williams, Brett Wilson from Roots of Creation. This is gonzotoday.com. Again, right down there.
Click it or ticket. Click it or ticket.
Thank you again, Brett. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, brother. Live free or die.